The regular agenda, a presentation from Amanda regarding a potential McCook Economic Development Corporation workforce housing development on property owned by the city of McCook, said parcel identified as parcel ID number 000894200 at the intersection of East C Street and East 11th Street. Amanda?
Well, so as we're wrapping up with the projects that we have ongoing right now, I obviously have been planning for 2025, what's next. And as you can see, my time of planning is going to be cut short by a little bit. So I have been working on this for a few months and having some conversations and just trying to figure out kind of what our next point of need is for housing in the community. And I really wanted to look at, where are we not utilizing our existing resources in McCook? And this kind of led me down a path of looking for areas in the community that I felt were developable without us having to look at annexation or potentially putting in infrastructure. So over off of East 11th and C Street, there is an area of the community that has not been developed. It's under city ownership. To my understanding, it was donated to the city several years ago, kind of for the city to do with as they felt benefited the community. So I would like to propose potential that this area would be a great area for some housing development for McCook. My kind of target goal with this area, and I have had conversations with developers and contractors who are interested in this project, is for a home that would be kind of like a stepping stone for somebody to invest in and put some equity into their own project. So hoping to meet a price point of that, $200,000 to $225,000 of a sales price. Area, platting the lots so that people could put up a garage in the future if they wanted to, could add an addition to their home in the future if they wanted to. Really kind of looking at what did we do in the 50s and 60s when we had a population boom, and what do those houses look like in McCook, which if you look at a lot of those, they're really simple roof lines, easy to tie into. People have invested in them with additions. They've added detached garages. And those are great family homes now for the community that are selling at, around that price point. And they were probably put in for a quarter of that when they were built. So it's my understanding that due to the City of McCook ordinances, the city doesn't really have the authority to just donate land. And so we have talked through the process of what does that look like, and is there the potential for, if it is being geared towards a specific project such as workforce housing, can that land be utilized for that, especially in this instance where the land was donated to the city. And so that is kind of why I'm coming to the board tonight, or the council tonight, is because I want to put this on your radar and have you think about it as we're speaking with the developers and looking at what it is our costs that we would have in. So like I mentioned, there is infrastructure there. There's water and sewer that run in both East 11th and East 10th Street. There's power right there, but the power would need to be moved and buried to make it appealing for a neighborhood at that point. Since it's been undeveloped, it's all along the street side. And I've already had conversations with MPDD just to understand what it is from their perspective they would want. done to that area. And then there's obviously gonna be some drainage that would need to be addressed for that area too. It's a little bit low-lying from East 11th, and we would wanna make sure that we wouldn't affect any of the surrounding neighbors or cause any issues there, where we are close to the creek technically, but it is not in a floodplain. I'm trying to think of anything additional. I think this is just a really good opportunity for us to invest in an area that, right now is not on the property tax rolls. City staff are happy to maintain it. It's a large grass area, so they are mowing it periodically throughout the mowing season. So I think it would be a really good way to utilize what we already have on hand. And I think that's, as Nebraskans, what we are really good at is utilizing what we already have and not looking outside and reinventing the wheel. So, yeah. Another, I guess, key point I will mention. So one of the developers that is very interested in this is a modular home manufacturer. And so this is a really accessible area as well. So that makes it very inviting for somebody like that. You're right off of the highway a block. East 11th is a wide street. You don't have any utilities going across there. So from an access standpoint, it is really a really friendly area for something like that, if that is the direction that somebody would go with it.
You're talking about something like what you did up on West 9th Street?
It would probably be a little bit more simplified than that.
Okay.
So what we have looked at is more so livable square footage. So there may or may not be an attached garage, just depending upon where price per square foot comes in at. Probably like an attached carport or a single car attached garage is what we're looking at. And it would be, yes, on an unfinished basement is the goal, kind of similar to the Wardcraft house, but trying to create something that's appealing, doesn't look like a manufactured home, or a modular home, and but allows somebody, like I said, to tie in and add that equity in the future that they can, and then hopefully hit that lower price point, because we feel that's something that we're definitely lacking in the community. We feel with North Point, and then the Parkview addition, we've kind of hit, a level there that we were in need of, and so now we need to look at, what else, based upon our housing study, are we lacking in the community.
So Amanda, how many houses do we think we could put there?
So when I have laid it out, what I think we can fit is about 8 lots.
8 lots.
Ultimately, that will come down to, us probably working in conjunction with Miller and Associates, but what I'm proposing would be approximately 75-foot wide lots by 120-foot depth, and that would allow for a utility easement down the middle of those, so that 120-foot depth is not factoring in that utility easement between those lots. If we were to do an alley, that would minimize those lots slightly, and it would be a little bit awkward because we'd have to have an outlet, we would have an L-shaped alley at the end. So I think we could probably do something really similar to what we have done up at the Parkview addition and just have the utility easement for utility access down the center and not have to worry about an alley.
So where do we go from here?
We've been talking about this for a while, probably a couple of months, I think. And Charlie and I know Kyle, Tara, Nate, and I were part of the conversations. Nate's actually done a little bit of research, talked to other communities. Charlie and Amanda and we got a phone call as well with Craig Bennett to kind of see what Kearney does. I think that we can come up with some proposed language in our ordinance that would address specific needs as it relates to workforce housing, something that we need to make sure that we're providing here in our community. So I think we'll bring something back to the council as we kind of work through it, make sure that we've addressed all the legality to ensure that we don't have any issues on the backside. But that's kind of the way I would like to handle it, is come back to the council with proposed ordinance. that will address the issues that we currently have with respect to real estate. You know, right now, anything that's over $5,000 in value, we have to have a market analysis. Anything over $100,000 has to be appraised. And there really is no provision for this type of situation where there's another entity that has the ability to improve a city-owned lot, build houses, get those lots put onto the tax roll, address the housing shortages that we know that we have per the 2022 housing study. It just makes a lot of sense, and so I think that'll be the next step, getting an ordinance in front of the council to take a look at. We can have more discussions too, but I know that Amanda, she's been working really hard on this. I know they've got a timeline. They want us to try to make sure that we meet, and we'll do the best we can to do that.
We really just wanted to bring it to your attention that it's something that we're looking at, so that, yeah, you can consider it, the community can consider it, and then as we bring forth that, you know, potential ordinance. This area also, the north property line of it would abut to an existing redevelopment area with some of the infrastructure improvements, or pending the use of like a rural workforce housing TIF potentially. I think we would probably try to, you know, come to the council and request that it maybe be designated as blighted and substandard, since it has not been improved upon in so many years. That would significantly help keep us in line to stay closer to that price point that we're trying to target.
We've got some experience now. Our heritage project that we did just north of the copper mill, east of the golf course, we kind of dipped our toes into the water, and I think we feel pretty comfortable moving forward with those types of new TIF projects. So that's something that we can definitely take a look at in the future. But the key at this point in time is to figure out, is it feasible to go ahead and transfer possession to the EDC, so that way the EDC then can go ahead and start their work as far as getting the lots subdivided out and then populated.
And we're also working in the interim, you know, with, as these proposals from these interested parties come in, you know, we're gonna work with our local realtors and have them review everything that we're proposing, so that we, you know, at the price point we're proposing, so that we know for sure that we have a market for it. You know, we feel strongly that we have a market for this based upon our housing study and the feedback and what we're seeing moving as we observe, you know, the houses that are listing and selling. But we would still wanna work with them to be sure. We wouldn't want to do this project if it's something that we're like, you know, these houses, it's good, you know, we just want to get houses and then they don't sell. That's not our goal by any means. We want to make sure that we're putting out to the community what the community truly needs.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.